What's something most people thought you were lying about, but is 100% true? My parents grounded me when I was 7 for eating a pudding cup and hiding it behind the pantry cabinet. I didn't fucking do it. My grandfather was a field agent during the Cold War and managed to never tell his family. He spoke 9 different languages. The day he died, $750,000 appeared in a bank account under my grandmother's name. My father said as a child, when they returned to the country, they never went through customs. He was a pastor of a Baptist church in Tennessee and often claimed to go to Africa on mission. Turns out he was spying on the communists. We've since found invitations from President Carter asking him to accept a medal in DC, to which my grandfather declined, so he could preach on Sunday. I got a piece of spaghetti in my eye, permanently damaging my cornea. A raw piece of spaghetti flew into my eye like 3 years ago, and it damaged my eye. In jail, we had these homicide victims playing cards. It was a standard deck, and each card had a picture of a person who died of an unsolved homicide. One day, me and a couple of other inmates had been playing a game of tag. One of the guys placed the Queen of Hearts face up on the table and said, "Damn, that bitch is ugly." It took me a second, but I realized that was a picture of my mother. I had no idea that she was on these cards. Needless to say, no one at the table believed me. My parents bought me an electric scooter when I was 12 years old that maximumed out at like 18 miles per hour. One day I was riding around my neighborhood through the park. I lived across the street and I stopped to get some water. A slightly overweight, physically disabled man rolls up to me in an electric wheelchair and kindly asks about my scooter. I tell him how fast it goes and that it maneuvered pretty well. He then proceeds to ask me if I wanted to race him in his wheelchair down the street. Well, being an overly cautious kid, I thought it was weird and he might be trying to lure me away from public vision. So I politely declined and said I was going to head home for the day to eat lunch. The man chuckles and reversed away from facing me and kind of gives me a look saying good call. He straightens his wheelchair out onto the path, says something along the lines of no worries, have a good day, be safe, and, I cannot exaggerate this enough, takes off in his electric wheelchair accelerating to at least 25 to 30 miles per hour, substantially faster than my scooter cold handled, and rides away down the block. My jaw dropped, and I laughed the entire ride home. I'll never forget the day I thought I was gonna get kidnapped, and instead watched a disabled man in a wheelchair take off like the roadrunner fading into the sunset, never to be seen again. Once my mom bought a bag of honey mustard pretzels, and someone in my family ate the whole bag. My parents believed it was me, because I love the honey mustard pretzels, but it wasn't me. I didn't even get a little bit. Edit, I have my 3 family members. My dad, my mom, and my sister. The hunt is still on. I was homeschooled, like, entire childhood. Never attended any education institution in my life. Since I'm not a complete social pariah, people tend to have a look of disbelief. Oh wow, you don't seem homeschooled. Yeah, I know. I shower regularly to keep the smell down. My brothers and I, all teenagers at the time, swam to a small island in the middle of a lake and stayed there for about a week and a half. We each had a backpack, not waterproof, with water bottles, matches, also not waterproof, some Ziploc bags of food, a rain jacket, 5 sets of clothes and underwear, a camping pot, a fishing rod, and a Swiss Army knife. My oldest brother had a cell phone in a Ziploc in case of an emergency, but other than that it was just us 3 camped out on that island in the middle of a lake. Things to note. My brothers and I were not trained to be survivalists. We knew how to camp and fish, and we knew how to boil water to purify it, but other than that we were completely unprepared in case of emergency. We fucking swam to that island, with no safety gear for swimming. We were goddamn idiots. We never told our parents we were going on that island. We just said we were camping in the woods nearby. After we ran out of pre-packed food, the only thing we ate aside from fish was a snake we found. I have no clue how it ended up on that island, but we caught it and boiled it for dinner. Never again. Also, we were goddamn lucky it wasn't venomous, because our method of attack was to stomp on it. Our parents never figured out that we were on this island. They thought we were camping in the woods like we said, and we have yet to tell them. In 5th grade I had to draw a monster for school. I drew a red monster with 4 pairs of arms, shown in profile. The teacher was convinced I had intentionally drawn a penis, then changed it into an arm. They made me draw a new picture. I think I cried about it. When I was in my first year of school at the ripe age of like 4, my class was going to our local church for an Easter sermon. Every kid was encouraged to get an item of food from their parents for a donation for the homeless. I proudly came in with my tin of baked beans, my favorite shit to this day, and put it on our collection table. When it came time to head off to church, everyone picked up their item to carry along, but all that was left was a tin of peas. As a kid, I fucking hated peas, and demanded answers as to where my delicious beans had gone. This one kid Andrew was the only one holding a tin of beans, and I lost my shit. I'm no snitch, but you bet I narsed on that motherfucker. Did Mrs. McDonald give a fuck? No sir. She told me I must have gotten mixed up. Everyone backed her up, because Andrew was popular, and a bean thief. Then they call me the liar. It's been 21 years, and I'm still pissed about having to carry those stupid peas down the street. Not that it mattered in the slightest, because they were going to the same place, but there's a principle involved. My family didn't even eat peas. I have mild cerebral palsy. My dad once admitted to me that he would come down harder on me than my siblings when we were kids because it made him feel good to know I would never physically surpass him and thus could get away with it. When I was a kid, 8 years old, I was sledding down a hill in one of those circular flying saucer sleds. I was supposed to go around the ski ramp, but the sled started spinning and I couldn't control my direction. I went off of the ski ramp, accidentally let go of my sled, did a front flip in the air, and then landed back on the sled again. This was all without a single scratch. When I got to the bottom of the hill, my mom and aunt were screaming, like I had almost died. I just thought it was fun. In my student job as a church musician during college, there were bats in the steeple, located immediately above the organ. When I'd practice at night, the bats would sometimes start flying around the lofty Gothic church and land on or inside the gilded facade pipes. No one ever saw the bats but me, because they didn't fly around the church during day hours. The pastor would say, "Our organist has bats in his belfry," rather than addressing the problem. One time in college I had to get a sports physical. The doctor who gave it to me was a very attractive woman, likely in her late 40s. When she got to the hernia check part of the exam, she asks if I mind if she brings in the new PA for a learning moment. She brings in this absolutely gorgeous low to mid 20s girl so that she can teach her about a guide junk and how to properly check it. I'm this 19-year-old kid living a porno. I have the MILF doctor teaching her sexy young PA about how to properly handle testicles without causing discomfort, and where this cord is, and why the ball lifts up when I cough. This fucking happened, and my friends always called bullshit. I can't make this up. The whole thing was as professional as I could be. I didn't even really get a hard on, but it was fucking weird and it happened. This girl I hooked up with claimed she was single and broke up with her fiance. I found out she was lying, and because I kinda knew the guy not well enough to resist banging his lady, I called him and explained what happened because honestly, fuck that chick. He thought I was lying. I said nope. She said I was lying. I said nope. They started calling me daily saying fuck you, tell me the truth, until she admitted to it 6 months later. Regret it? Nope. Everyone doesn't believe me, however I actually pulled a Disney princess and sang to a bird the song, Once Upon a Dream. The bird flew up to me and landed on my 2 extended fingers all Snow White style. I have no clue why, but it is 100% real. I did this in front of about 10 people. We are all men, and we had just finished some extensive military PT. My brother stole $300 from our older sister when we were kids and used it to buy knives and shit from the army surplus. I had saved up $300 from walking dogs so I could buy an iPod, and my mom and sister decided I must have stolen it from her, and it was actually her $300, and I had to return the iPod and give my sister the money. My brother confessed 10 years later, but my whole family just sort of laughed it off, and my mom and sister still bring up me stealing the money in arguments and shit, even though we have established it wasn't me.